Tonight we're going to talk about marijuana legalization. That's what I'm going to do my rant on tonight. I was trying to think of a topic to do it on, and I was at the same time I was having a rough day today, and I was like, man, I really wish, I could do that right now. I could really use that right now, but I can't get at it because I live in Missouri, a Bible Belt state, and even though it's legal, fully legal in 8 states right now, and 27 states have made it legal in some way, as far as medical or in some way you can have access to marijuana in 27 states. It's still illegal where I live. It's still a Schedule I drug. It's still equal to heroin, which is terrible. And I wanted to give a little bit of history on that and how things got to be that way. So I've got a little rant here. The only thing that I didn't plan for is I wrote it all out on a piece of paper, or a bunch of pieces of paper. And I didn't plan for the fact that my light is as bright as the sun and I can't find a good place to set my notes. So King Technical Difficulties is going to do his best job of reading through what I prepared for you guys today. Hey Steve, thank you for sharing. So we're going to talk about marijuana legalization. Now, in 1929, a man named Harry Anslinger was in charge of the Department of Prohibition. Even though he had said publicly that cannabis wasn't a problem and had no harmful effects, after the alcohol prohibition ended, he found that his agency needed something to do. So Anslinger changed his tune on marijuana. Hold on, my notes here are flopping around in the wind. So Anslinger changed his tune right quick when his agency was out of something to do. When they went ahead and ended the prohibition on alcohol, he needed something else to vilify. So he jumped right on cannabis. And he changed every one of his tunes. He started coming out and saying that cannabis, even though he told people that it did not make people violent, he came out and said that if you smoke cannabis, you'd go into a delirious rage. And you'd be gripped by demons. He went on to say that you'd lose complete power over your thoughts, and you would go insane. He even used the analogy that if Frankenstein's monster was to run into a marijuana user, Frankenstein would run away in fear. That's how bad marijuana is. That's what it does to the regular marijuana smoker. The dirty marijuana smoker from the Reefer Madness. That's what they are. They're crazy monsters. It makes you insane, drives you nuts. As every one of us pot smokers knows, that's complete horse shit. If anything makes you crazy or does that to you, it would be alcohol or that whatever the shit that is that those kids are smoking that turns you into zombies. What is that, bath salts? All right. But Anslinger reached out to 30 scientists to get some scientists to come forward for this Reefer Madness bullshit, to say that marijuana was bad. 29 of them said no, of the scientists that he reached out to, but one said yes. And Anslinger paraded this scientist around for as many people that wanted to hear it. Hitting that shit right now, motherfucker. Fuck you, Robert. You in a legal state, or you just don't give a shit? Because I don't give a shit either. I just don't have any right now. I am not blessed enough to be in a legal state. I wish I was. But so he found one scientist. So he went around and paraded the shit out of that guy, and they made Reefer Madness together. And they passed their information on to the media, who ran buck wild with it. And a panic gripped America. So marijuana was banned. Well, it became a prohibited substance. Before that, it wasn't. It wasn't as restricted. People weren't concerned about it. But Harry Anslinger got people so upset over marijuana and his propaganda that he was able, I don't either. And that's the thing. Like I said, it's legal in some way in 27 states. But people still get it. You know what I mean? It's not stopping anything. You're not stopping me from getting it. You're only stopping yourself from getting the resource to the revenue from it. You're cutting off your revenue stream. You're not keeping me from getting it. I mean, I'm taking a huge risk, which I shouldn't have to take. It shouldn't be a risk. It's harmless. But anyways, let me finish my little story and we'll get to how harmless it is here in a minute. So, in the 70s, Nixon ramped up the marijuana wars even further because, this is on the tapes from the Watergate tapes, the tapes that were released that Nixon recorded everything, and these are on the tapes. You can hear him talking with his people about how criminalizing marijuana and making it a Schedule I drug, equating it with heroin, will allow them to go after these dissenters that were black or hippie or even homosexuals. So they could use marijuana to imprison these people. They could go after them and lock them up for long periods of time and silence these dissenters with marijuana charges now, because they went ahead and moved it up to a Schedule I drug in the 70s under the Nixon administration. And it's been there ever since. It's still there today. It's still Schedule I drug, to the point where scientists are not even allowed to experiment with it in some cases, because it has no medicinal value the way they classify it. Even though marijuana has thousands of medicinal uses. And even though we are past the tipping point, Steve says they showed us Reefer Madness in school when I was a kid. We all laughed. It's hilarious. It is hilarious. It's funnier if you know how bullshit it is. But even if you've never smoked weed, because when I first saw it, I saw it in school too, Steve. When I first saw it, I had never smoked marijuana. And, I mean, it was just comically ridiculous. But people in the 20s ate this shit up, apparently. So the media ran with it and said that it did do these things. It did make you insane. It did all these things that this one scientist, this guy was able to find. Out of 30 feelers he sent out, he found one guy. And behind this one guy, they ran with all the information, because this guy was willing to say whatever. So whatever Harry Anslinger wanted him to say, this guy ran with it. And then you had the Reefer Madness, swept the nation. Everybody got afraid. Oh, you got to protect our kids from the pot. They'll turn into dirty potheads if you don't. So it got banned. And then in the 70s, Nixon ramped it up so that he could go after the Black Panthers and, these hippie protesters and lock them up. And a lot longer than he would have been with a slap on the wrist, where it was. He took it up to Schedule I, so it would be equal to heroin, and he'd be able to really get some serious sentencing out of these things, and then back off the other ones and scare them. They'd be like, "Oh, we got to be cool. They're gonna lock us up." Oh, thank you, Jay. Yeah, I shaved it. I shaved the dome. Got that Kojak thing going on. I almost had a blow pop hanging out of my mouth just to lock the Kojak look down, but I didn't do it because I had to talk, and it's hard to talk with a blow pop in your mouth, especially when you're fucking toothless. So, let's see here. As we just got done saying, marijuana is extremely beneficial, even though there's been huge amounts of propaganda put out to say that it isn't. And to the point where it's gotten itself on the Schedule I list with heroin and other dangerous drugs, and has been hit with the label that it has no medicinal value, which is complete horseshit. It has thousands of uses. I read on a site today that I found. I was doing research for this, and this site claims that marijuana, cannabis, herb, all of it, CBD, everything has 50,000 commercial uses. It said over 50,000. But I'm just going to list some of the ones that I know for sure, right? You can make paper with hemp. You can make rope. You can make fuel. You can make clothing, soap, plastic, paint, bricks. You can make lubricants. You can make animal food. You can make lotions and even salad dressing out of hemp. All right? And as far as medical uses go, marijuana and CBD oil can treat depression, anxiety, PTSD. It can relieve symptoms of Parkinson's disease. It can treat cancer. It can cure cancer. Certain types of cancer can be cured with cannabis. That's proven. It can help people with seizures live a normal life. Have you seen these videos with these kids that are having hundreds of seizures a day? They can't even speak or talk to anyone. But they take this CBD oil and they are able to function. They are able to live and maybe only have 1 to 2 seizures a day instead of hundreds of seizures a day, which makes it impossible for them to do anything besides sit and seize all day. And they could die during any of these seizures. And the medicine, all medicine, you see these videos. I've seen hundreds of these videos. And every one of them, the parents have went through every medical option. And when they hit CBD, not only does it work better than anything ever has before, It works every time. And it works without high doses of medicine, without turning the kids into zombies, without all these harmful side effects. And CBD does not get you high. It has no high to it at all. The hallucinogenic effects are not in it. So these kids are not getting a buzz. They're just getting medicine. It's medicine. So, you know, that's just some of the... It can even help anxious animals. Do you know that they now, in states where it's legal, you can buy dog biscuits with cannabis in them, CBD, for your dogs? If you have a hyper or anxious dog, you can give them these biscuits and they will calm down. They even have it for animals in these places where it's legal. You know, I look at these places where it's legal. My notes are done now. I can't even read them in this light. I wasn't able to half of this time. Luckily, I remembered most of it. I didn't plan this very well. I could have actually read it off the computer screen because I'm still using the phone. I wanted to use the computer because I don't like holding the phone, honestly. And I bought this little thing, the suction cup on the back of it, but it doesn't work right. It probably works right. I just haven't figured it out yet because I always wait until right when the show starts to try to figure it out. So that's the end of my rant. I just wanted to say that it's a crime against humanity that marijuana is illegal. Everyone should have access to this plant. I believe it's a miracle from God, but even if you don't believe in God, you should be able to agree with me that this plant has thousands of uses and extremely beneficial, and that we should be using it. And people have a right to use it, but we should be using it. Instead of cutting down acres of trees to make paper, you could use hemp, and hemp regrows every 3 months. You know, why aren't we using this? It's ridiculous that we're not using it. Hemp doesn't even have the psychoactive effects either. Hemp does not get you high, but farmers are still not allowed to grow hemp. That's ridiculous. Okay, so let me see what people have been saying here. Robert says, I had this dude on my podcast and thought I was going to kick his ass in a debate. I did not. If you're listening and thinking this guy's on point, you're right. Keep your eye on him. He's blowing up. Oh my God, thanks, Robert. He was talking about me. I thought he was going to say something about marijuana or something like that. He was talking about me. That's an honor. I was just on Robert's podcast, and we did have a great interview. I can't wait to hear it myself. I mean, it did go awesome. I kind of thought we might butt heads too, because I knew we varied in a couple key areas, big areas. But nope. It was a great conversation. It went really smooth. And it's on the Right to Reason, Robert's show. That's where this interview is going to air. He said probably in a couple months. He's got about 5 episodes ahead of it. But we spent over an hour talking, and it was a great interview. We talked about everything, too. If you listen to it, we went everywhere. I mean, we started out, you know, at Bernie Sanders, and we ended up near Flat Earth. I think we even went there for a second. But Lisa says, hi, just got home. Lane says it's Gigi Allen. Hey, it's Gigi Allen. Lisa says hemp seeds are the highest protein value of all plants. I did not know that, Lisa. That is nice information. Hi, Cindy. Good to see you here. I'm glad to see you could make it. I'm seeing some of the names I haven't seen in a while. That excites me. I was starting to get bummed out. The feeds have been having a low turnout. And that's why I appreciate Robert saying that he thinks I might blow up here. I would really like that. That'd be nice. You know, I'd like to also get my stuff a little prettier. Robert's stuff is really pretty. Like, his show looks real professional. There's none of this shit. You see the top of my set here? You don't see that over on Robert's show. But, you know, maybe that's part of my charm. Maybe that's part of my charm, where you guys just know that, hey, this guy has no idea what he's doing. He's just like me. So let's see, anybody else talking about this? Anybody else want to say anything about marijuana? Until I hear from somebody else, I'm just going to talk about how jealous I am. If you live in a legal place, if you live in one of the fully legal states, the 8 legal states, I am incredibly jealous of you, Jay. I know Jay lives in one of the legal states. I'm very jealous. I mean, when I look at those stores and I look at, you know, people having the ability to walk into a store with dignity and, you know, shop like a human being, and, like, you know, you got all these strains and everything you could want, and these people are knowledgeable and they know all about the product, and they teach you what's the best weed for you. You know, they teach you what strains are. A lot of times you're just buying for some guy you don't know what strain you got. I mean, if you're really into it, you know whether you got indica or sativa because you're either tired or you're productive. And I prefer sativa because indica makes you tired. But thanks, Robert. I am legit. I'm too legit to quit. Like, if I had hammer pants and maybe learned how to dance, I would fucking show you. I would show you. I'm too legit to quit. I'm too sexy for my shirt. I'm all that shit. But anyways, I'm jealous of these people because you can walk into a store. Lisa says I should air later. It's 9:20 in Missouri right now. How late do you want me to stay up? I got 6 kids. I got to get to bed. Babas would be mad at me. If I was airing at 10, you know, that's past her bedtime. She's going to be like, you got to stop this shit. She's already sick of this shit. I spend a lot of time on this stuff. There she goes, see? I told you. I'm obsessed with this stuff. And the main reason is because it hasn't taken off the way I wanted it to yet. I'll be honest with you. I can't stop thinking about it because I won't allow myself to give up or back down. So I try to remind myself that my goal is more of a 3 to 5 year goal. But I'm impatient as fuck. So I work my ass off. And I really do. And I spend a lot of time grinding on this because I want it to be what I want it to be. And I'm seeing in my mind where I envision it. And it's not there yet, but it's my mission in life to get it there. The closer it gets, the calmer I get about it. But I can never stop. I'm obsessive about it. And hopefully that gives you a better product, something you're more likely to share and want to be a part of. Because I want you to. This is what I want to do for my job. Robert, I got 5 kids to feed. Total recall. Exactly. Shit. That's why I'm doing 5 shows a week. I'm doing 5 shows a week now. I do 3 here and 2 podcasts. Lisa says you want to be famous or not. No, I don't want to be famous, really. I don't. I never really wanted to be famous. I want to make a living performing. That's really the level I want to get to. Fame would be nice. I would like name recognition. I really want to be at about a Jimmy Dore level, and then once I get there, I want to go after John Oliver and that level. You know, Trevor Noah, Daily Show type of level. I will always raise the bar. You know, it's never going to be enough for me, probably ever. But that's where I want to go, and fame is the secondary part of it. I love performing. I love getting to write and then presenting what I create. That's what I've always done it for. Even when I did comedy, I still do comedy, but when I perform in comedy, I love the feeling of getting laughs from the jokes I wrote. And I like the feeling here of producing these shows for you guys and you showing up and wanting to keep showing up and watch them. Lisa says there's so much competition. Keep going. There is no competition for this. For this right here, the content part, oh my God, I'm tremendous. You're never going to find anything better than the content part of this show. If I figure out how to film it right, Jimmy Dore will run scared. He'll be like, oh my God, I hope Shawn will have me on his show. Jesus, that guy's amazing. Steve says it takes time. I know that. I know that. My mind tries to give myself too much pressure. I know it's 3 to 5 year plan. That's for that is yeah. Famous games. Wait a minute. I think Lisa's trying to say that fame is silly. Yeah. Fame is silly. I don't give a shit about fame. I mean, I want this message to get out as far as it can possibly go. And I want to use my gift of gab to do that, to talk about important things in a way that helps people listen and, you know, they find it entertaining, so they might listen to it and learn something they didn't know. And then maybe that helps the progressive agenda move forward. You know, by educating people on important issues like marijuana legalization and letting them know how beneficial this plant is for someone that may only have ever heard the propaganda, have never done it for themselves. You know, I know people like that hated it. And then once they've done it, or somebody they know or trust does it, and they're like, they see it and they're like, oh. You know, like I knew somebody, their husband was an alcoholic and he started with marijuana instead. He quit drinking, lost weight, and they're like, they hated weed. But now they're like, oh, I understand now. It's harmless. You know, they didn't know that. So this kind of thing helps with education. You help people learn that, hey, you've been lied to. You're lied to on a massive scale. This plant is harmless. very beneficial, and it's a human right. It grows natural, unmolested. That's just the way that's just the way it is. It just happens to do those things, and if you set it on fire, it'll improve your mood. You know, it'll make you have a nice evening. You happen to set this plant on fire. You don't have to do anything else to it. Shit, you don't even got to set it on fire. You can mix it with butter and eat it. You know what I mean? It's amazing. And the fact that there are still places in America today in 2017, like Missouri, where I am, where I cannot walk into a store with dignity and buy some marijuana or buy edibles or buy medicine for my child, that is ridiculous. If my child had seizures, I'm getting CBD oil. I don't give a fuck. You know, I get it now, and I live in an illegal state, but I get it through the mail. They don't stop anything. Only thing they're stopping is themselves from getting the revenue that they could use to build the crumbling infrastructure or give people health care and a fucking living wage, or not want to rob your retirement all the time because they got this influx of tax money from marijuana revenue. But no, they want to keep that pocket getting filled up with the pharmaceutical lobby money. They don't give a shit about the marijuana money because they haven't figured out how to control that yet. If it was legal, I could grow 6 plants in my garden. How are you going to sell it to me if I can grow it? They call it weed for a reason. If they want to figure out how to control this shit, Monsanto just bought the rights to the seeds, and they're experimenting right now and coming up with synthetic weed. They're going to find a way to legalize it once they learn how to control it. And we need to come against that shit. That synthetic weed shit, fuck that. There is nothing wrong with marijuana. There is no reason why Monsanto needs to toy with it. We do not need genetically modified marijuana. Stay the fuck away from cannabis. It's a natural cure. Leave it that way. They're going to try to fuck with it and then give you some modified version that they deem acceptable that doesn't threaten the pharmaceutical industry. That's some bullshit. I want what God left here for me, or if you don't believe in God, what evolution left here for you. What we're entitled to, the natural shit. I don't want your GMO marijuana. So Steve says, I think the population is finally on board with legalization. We're past the tipping point. As if this was a true democracy, it would be legal. You know, you're at 27 states that is legal in some way. I think past 24, it can go legal at the federal level by the Supreme Court decision at any time. So if it was a true democracy, that would already be happening. There would already be bills proposed to do that. Right now, I think Kamala Harris is pushing for marijuana legalization at the federal level in order to stop Trump and Sessions from being able to do something about marijuana. Even to these states that have legalized it, they want to go after the legal states as well and overturn that. So we can't allow that. Those people voted to have legal marijuana. They're already using it as medicine. And no. You're not taking that away. They voted to have it. So Robert says, solid points, clear, accurate, real, 100%. Are you into Terrence McKenna? You dig this shit. You dig his shit, man. I need to look that up. The name sounds really familiar. I'm wondering if I've seen something and just don't know it, because that name sounds real familiar to me. But I'm going to look that up after the show, Robert. Steve says, I already read that one. Cindy, they need to let us grow our own. Absolutely. Everyone should be entitled to grow at least 6 plants. I think everyone should be able to have 6 plants in their garden for yourself, for personal use. And then you would still, and don't tell me people wouldn't still go buy the stronger shit. You would still go up to the store and buy the sativa that's 74% THC, because you ain't growing that shit at home. Not unless you got a professional grow set, which you'd be able to do, but most people wouldn't mess with. You're not going to make your own wax. You're not going to make your own edibles. You're going to go to the store and buy that stuff. So they'll still be able to tax it, and they'll be able to tax it in a lot of different ways. They could even find a way to tax you on your grow. You know, that maybe you got to donate 10% of your grow to the city's pot sales, or you got to tax it in some way. I don't know. I don't think it should cost you any money, but maybe you got to donate part of your grow to science or whatever. So Lori says natural, and Cindy's talking about it's not cool at all. I'm sure she's talking about Monsanto GMO weed, which they're working on right now. They're also working on trying to find a pharmaceutical alternative to marijuana. Instead of giving you legal weed, they want to give you a pill. And they want to give these kids that are using CBD oil a pill. Well, fuck that pill. CBD oil works great by itself. I don't need your stupid pill. Give me CBD oil. Just give me the real shit. And keep the pharmaceutical industry and Monsanto the fuck away from cannabis. I don't want the tobacco industry in it either. Marlboro already has marijuana cigarettes. You know, pre-rolled marijuana joints in a 20-pack. Marlboro. So Philip Morris is going to be all over this shit. The only thing stopping it is the alcohol lobby, the drug lobby, and propaganda and bullshit. The medical, pharmaceutical companies don't want it. Because in Colorado, depression medicines have went down something like 70%, and I'm sure that counseling and psychiatry is the same thing. Because you don't need it. This stuff fixes you. As a depressed person with PTSD, and I'm bipolar, it fixes me instantly in a second. First drag, fixed. Till I run out of weed. All right, Lisa says it's unconstitutional for Fed to overrule the state. No, I agree with you. And the fact that they're talking about it, I think, is insane. I think there's no way we stand for that shit. And that's why Kamala Harris is trying to get it legalized at the federal level, because we can't allow them to tamp. No. These states voted to have it legal. It's legal. You leave them alone. And matter of fact, we all want it. As a majority, we all want it. I think it would pass on a federal ballot. It might only be like 60-40, but it would pass. What was it, 55% in Nevada? But still, majority wants it. Majority rule. That's a democracy. Lori says, whatever, just grow. I know, Lori. But, and people do. But, you get your door kicked in and you got 2 plants in your garage under your own personal little grow kit. It's only for you. Now they got you locked up as a dealer. That's enough to charge you with intent to sell. So you got 2 plants in your garage. Maybe you got an ounce in the house. Now you're going to prison for 20-something years. Schedule I drug equal to heroin. You're just a regular guy treating this depression. So see, it's a huge risk, You can grow it right now yourself, and people do, but they're risking prison. They're risking ruining their lives over a plant that's harmless. So I don't want them to have to do that. I don't want to have to do that. I shouldn't have to break the law to treat myself, I talked about this in an earlier show, but there's this judge right now. He's going around as a marijuana activist now. He was a conservative judge for 30 plus years. He said he locked people up for marijuana he locked hundreds of people up for 30 years because he thought it was evil. He thought it was wrong. But when he finally had to be treated with it, he had a terminal illness and his doctor ran out of options and they got down to cannabis and he had to use it. And he realized, oh my God, I've been lied to. This is harmless. I put hundreds of people in jail. Now he goes around as an advocate for legalization because he can't live with himself. He says he can't sleep at night because he ruined people's lives. And he's like, how many of these people were just treating themselves? Steve says it passed here already, but they couldn't figure out how to tax it, so they pushed back the release date. Yeah. That's their holdup. Their big holdup is they don't know how to control it. Like I said, it's called weed for a reason. So how do they control it? How do they make sure they keep their grasp on it, they get their tax dollars for it, and they get to regulate it? Because if everyone can grow it, how do you put a stop to anything? It's just rampant once you let it go. Once you let go of the leash, that dog is going to run wild. So they don't know how to control it. They don't know how to keep their fucking little mitts all over it. And they don't know how to have something they don't have their fucking mitts all over. So yeah, they're freaking out. There's a lot of ways they're freaking out because it's not just with marijuana that people are starting to demand things. It's with a lot of stuff the establishment is starting to wonder how to keep their control over us. And that's another reason why I think they don't want us to have marijuana. Robert will like this as far as conspiracy goes. I think that it opens up your mind. I think that it would make their fear and propaganda powerless. Because it's hard to have a fear-driven state. It's hard to keep your citizens in a fear-driven state when they're mellow. It's hard to rule by fear when you have a population that has access to a plant that cures that in a second. So let's see here. Who's talking? Oh, Cindy says, read about him. Over 300 people. Yes. This judge, he locked all these people up, and now he can't deal with it. He's like, I didn't know what this plant really was. I believed the propaganda. I believed the lies I was told. I believed it was evil. And I ruined these people's lives. And he's like, it kills me. He's like, I can't deal with how many of these people might have been treating themselves for some kind of an illness. And he said, even if they weren't hurting anybody. He's like, I know now that it's harmless, and I don't know how to deal with what I've done to these people. I've ruined their lives. I've taken years away from them in their lives. They'll never get it back. because I believed the lies I was told. That's why he wants to educate people now and let people know that that's lies that you're being told, that marijuana is harmless and these people are not dangerous criminals. You know, they're just people trying to either, you know, relax or treat themselves with a plant that everyone should have access to. It's a very beneficial medicinal plant that everyone should have. It's not harmful in any way. I can go right down the street right now and get a gallon of alcohol, a gallon of vodka, and pass out blackout drunk in the middle of the sidewalk, and, you know, be a problem for the city. And that's fully legal. I can go do that right now. But I cannot go down the street and get a pot brownie and chill out and watch some TV and go to sleep. That's some bullshit. That's complete horseshit right there. So Lori says, demand the F out of everything. You're fucking right. If we would unify and stand up and demand things like Bernie told us to do 1,000 fucking times if he said it once, you stand up united and you demand it and you get it. At least while we're still a democracy on paper, we need to start doing that. Lori says, smoke a J. If I had it, I would. I would. I will pretend that this is for you. It's nowhere near the same, but I'm pretending for you, Lori. And hopefully you will pretend back at me, and you will do it hard enough that I actually feel it. I want you to send me your vibes. You take that hit in, you think of me. You put my bald head in your mind, and you put that weed in here. You see what I'm saying? You give it to me telepathically. If you're high enough, you'll be able to do it, Lori. If you're not able to do it, you got to get a little bit higher, okay? And when you get to the right level, I will feel it. If you really think about me hard. So Robert says, I got to roll out, but hey, man, I believe in what you're doing. Your message is solid. Thank you, Robert. I really like your show, too, and it's an honor that you say that, because Robert's got his shit together a lot better than I do. You should watch his show, The Right to Reason. It's very professional. Lori says, Medicare for all and legalize Mary Jane. Absolutely. And a living wage. Let's throw a living wage in there, too. Single payer, legal marijuana. I'll be happy for about 5-6 years. I probably won't even cause a fuss. You want to shut us up, that's the 3 things you give us. You give us legal weed, you give us a living wage, and you give us single payer. We'll probably be quiet for a little while. We might leave you alone as long as you stop trying to chip away at fucking Medicare and Social Security, which you don't even have the right to touch. That's not your money. So stay the fuck away from Social Security and quit trying to raise the retirement age. 70 years old, you pieces of shit. Lisa says it's not Agenda 21, so the elite want to limit it. Yeah, I don't give a fuck what the elite want. I want to limit the elite. Let's strangle them. Let's stop worrying about what they want and start worrying about what they ain't going to get. We get united, they ain't going to get shit. We stay broken up in little groups, and they'll manipulate us and get whatever they want the way they've done for hundreds of years. Their chess pieces are in the final places now. You keep fucking around, they're going to move them into the kill spots, and you'll be done. Do you realize that America is one of the biggest things holding back the New World Order agenda? Americans and our pesky little rights that they're chipping away at. And once they get them chipped away at enough, then they'll finish off what they've been doing for hundreds of years. And they'll get their final clench on the earth. You know, they're already killing it off. They're already going to kill us off. They're already doing it. They're poisoning your food. You know, they don't care about you. They care about money, greed, oil, themselves. You don't even enter their mind. You're nothing to them. They don't even think of you as a person. Lori says stop wars. Yeah, that's true. We would still be on them about the wars, wouldn't we? The fucking military-industrial complex. I need to do a rant on the MIC. Fucking Mike. Controls everything. Banks in the military-industrial complex. Lori says I'm 56 and have to work to 70. Fuck that. That's crazy. See, why do we let the fucking establishment treat our people this way? No, we can't keep standing for this shit. They'll raise it to 75. They don't give a fuck if they got to prop Lori up in front of wherever she works till she can't do it anymore, till she falls over to the left. Then they'll move someone else into her spot. If we let them, we got to stop letting them do this shit. We're letting them do this shit. Silence is consent. Lane says draftbernie.org. Oh my God, I was watching Bernie on an interview, was it today or yesterday, where they straight up asked him, it was on Morning Joe, and they straight up asked him, are you giving up on the Dems? And he almost said yes. He said everything but yes. And that he thinks that we're going to have to do this through a third party. People's Party is looking like Bernie's going to take their offer. I don't know. It's just my guess. But I think Bernie might go People's Party. Who knows? That old man might do whatever he wants. He could retire. Who knows what he'll do? I hope he goes People's Party. I hope he runs with the Dems till they fuck him, goes People's Party, wins by 80%. They try to rig it. We rise up and say, hell no, Bernie's the president. You ain't doing this shit no more. Take back the whole establishment, bring the whole thing to its knees. That's my fantasy. My fantasy is Bernie causes a revolution, a real one this time. He's already campaigning in the South. He's already turning Republicans that realize they've been tricked. These people in coal country and these deep South places. He's going to Kentucky and he's talking to these people. They're going to start learning who he is. He's already got a 70-something approval rating, 70-something%. It's over 70. So by the time it rolls around, he's going to be really, really hard to fuck over. It's going to be really obvious when they steal the election from Bernie Sanders the second time. Steve says if Lori doesn't make it, they'll keep all her Social Security money. You're fucking right, Steve. And that's why we can't stand for this shit. That's not their money. That's Lori's money. Lori worked her whole life to be able to retire on that money. Not at 70, but at 65, which should really be closer to 60, 62. 65 is too old. I think it needs to be lower than 65. Lori says, go Bernie. Fuck yeah, I love Bernie Sanders. Fucking Bernie. There's my Bernie sign. Right behind my scary head dude. I have a very intricate set here, and you guys aren't getting to see it because I'm on the phone. You can see I'm a pack rat hoarder, see? See all my toys? Look at all them toys. Oh my God, it's a lot of toys. Well, it looks like the conversation is dying down here, and I'm getting sleepy. I think I'm going to go have some cake and watch a little Key and Peele maybe and go to sleep. Maybe some South Park. I don't know. Key and Peele or South Park. I haven't made my mind up yet. It's going to be on Hulu, whichever one I watch. So, thank you guys so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please share it. Help get this information out so we can help educate people about marijuana legalization and how important and beneficial this plant really is. And how all the things that you've been told about it are lies and propaganda. Let's help get this legal. Let's help people get access to this highly beneficial plant that everybody needs access to. Everybody has a human right to this plant, I believe. So until we're there, we need to keep fighting. So we need to get behind Kamala Harris. She's entering a bill into the Senate. I'm sure Bernie will be a co-sponsor on that bill. He was for it when he was running for president. I'm sure he's still for it. So we need to get behind them and help them get that through the Senate. Help get this legal on a federal level so that it can be left alone once and for all. Thank you for watching. Please like and share this video. I'll see you guys on Friday for the Yankee Show. And let me tell you, the Yankee Show is going to be coming from politics and stuff now. My Friday show, Yankee Show, is coming from the Politics and Show page. From now on, it's going to be a Politics and Stuff show. It's still going to be the same Yankee Show. I'm just going to be coming from politics and stuff. So on Friday, my show will not be on my page. My show, I'll share it here, but my show will be coming out of Politics and Stuff, which is a group that I'm in, a Facebook page, a political group, and everybody should join it. We're on point. We have great interviewers, Michelangelo Hamilton. We have Cindy, who goes and covers events. We have me, who's hella entertaining and does so many shows, it's ridiculous. Oversaturates the market with Shawn and Truth and Toothless Truth. And you got all kinds of great people over there. You know, I'm leaving people out. You got J. Rowan Torgerson, Nico House, all kinds of great people at Politics and Stuff. You guys go over there and support that page, and that's where you'll find my show on Friday, Yankee Show. Thank you guys. Support the show on Patreon and donate to me on PayPal. I'll see you on Friday.